Greetings, everybody, and welcome to continuing coverage of the 2024 FIDE Candidates World Championship Candidates Tournament here on Chess Dojo. I'm David Proust, taking the baton from Kostya and Ilya. It was a real joy and pleasure to hear the insights of an almost super GM. Good work on the norms today, Ilya. Let's see if folks can see and hear me. Yeah, looks good. What about here? You have to refresh the page. Looks like for YouTube there's a new link, huh? I think. For YouTube it's a new link. Got it. All right, Patrick's got audio and video. The Arachnerd is back. Perfect. All right. Yeah. Jesse saw Kostya in a nice suit over in the club, and he thought that he would get spruced up for today as well. So welcome everybody. I might be on my own for a minute or two here. We'll see. We'll see when the bros, bosses, and avocados join me. Here we are on this game, Firouzja Gukesh. Firouzja's h4, rook h3. It looked pretty odd, I think, but it's not so far. To me, it's not so far from the sort of new normal. To me, it's not outrageously, what would you call it? Now I'm forgetting the word for it, right? But it's not like, iconoclastic or counter to what everyone else is doing now. There's a lot of using the h-pawn, and if you'd put the rook on e1, as they said, rookless would be normal, pushing the h-pawn for space would be normal. Like, this position is not that far away from a London system or exchange Queen's Gambit or exchange Caro-Kann position. It's nothing too weird, honestly. What I find weird is how much time he spent, however. Like, according to this thing, he spent 30 minutes on rook h3. That's odd, having played, h4. I mean, he's the one who's added some flavor to this game, shall we say. Firouzja is, right? So if he's the one adding this flavor, he should have a little bit more confidence in the flavor he's bringing, right? If you don't believe in h4, h5, rook h3, rook g3, then don't play the moves. But if you're going to play the moves, I mean, play them, right? So, I don't know. All right, so yeah, it's not coffeehouse chess or anything either, right? It's just chess, White is supposed to put some threats against the Black King, and he's trying to do it. What's weird to me is him being so slow today after being so fast yesterday. I don't know what's going on with him, but of course it's very promising for our boy Gukesh. Hopefully he'll get a point here off of Firouzja, who is currently suffering and has already handed out points to Nepo, Naka, and Bidit, right? So, Firouzja definitely deserves to pick one up, too. Hikaru's been thinking forever. That's why we're not on that board. I mean, in terms of just the hotness factor of the position, how important every move is and how likely a move is to decide the game, Naka Nepo has the highest hotness rating of any of the positions we have right now. But because Naka had an hour and 40 minutes on the clock or whatever, he's under no time pressure to deliver a move to us. And so I'm just gonna leave that one where it is at the moment. We've got a little action over here with Prague and so forth, but I'm gonna start us off with Firouzja and Gukesh, and we'll move around here. All the games kind of interesting. Also, it's proper to have our eyes on this endgame here, or at least the corner of our eyes. Alexandra Goryachkina against Tan Zhongyi. These two players are in the lead for the women's candidate spot, right? Goryachkina with 2 wins and the rest draws. Tan with 3 wins and the rest draws. So they're separated by, a half of a game or whatever. So why is Alireza using so much time? That's a good question, isn't it? I mean, to me, it's kind of inexplicable, because I wouldn't say that Gukesh has put a lot of pressure on him, or even that he's making such a tough decision. I don't really know. I don't really know why he used so much time, Neo. It's a really odd thing to me. Yeah, Goryachkina and Tan are playing on a good level. Tan obviously electrified us yesterday. This position is more, dry, stable, balanced, or whatever, and she's going to be trying to equalize and hold against Goryachkina. B takes A4, just played, and previously A4, so she's got this slight pawn structure defect in the endgame, the 2 isolated pawns that can easily get attacked and targeted. So she's trading one off. You'd think she'd have a response in mind next, but she's got tons of time, so if she wants to think a bit, well within her rights. She's going to go after these pawns, and white can try and counterattack these pawns while she's going after them to try and stay up a pawn would be the idea for white. Yeah, we'll check out that A5, B5 question. Thanks, Roltux. It's good to be back. Looks like a 1-result game to Abdul. Okay. What do you think? Rook A7 or Rook B2? I mean, trees are down. All right. And then I also think that of the games in the women's candidates today, I think this game here has the highest hotness factor, with the 4 knights, all the minor pieces on the board, right? No trades. I know the pawn structure is symmetrical, but it's an open position. Open positions have a lot of room for tactics and for suddenly grabbing the initiative. In a really locked position, it takes more of a mistake or more of a series of mistakes for someone to gain an initiative and take over a game. In a position like this, it can happen super fast. I had a game like this in the last round at Sitges where it was like symmetrical, and then my opponent played 1 or 2 aggressive moves and I played 1 or 2 passive moves, and it took nothing, and he was just on top of me, threats, growing, shredding. So these kind of positions are very, very dramatic. So this is the other one I most have my eye on. Also, obviously, Lei Ting-Jie was my pick to win the candidates. I mean, now I would revise it and say Tan looks like she's in such good form. I would say Tan is now the favorite, but my pre-tournament favorite was Lei. So we're going to keep our eye on that game as well. At the moment, I don't have anything specific to suggest about what's going on. The knights are such that they're not attacking each other at the moment, and the queens are on the queen side, not the king side. I don't see any immediate threats, but it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. So let's click around a little bit. Naka's still thinking, and let's get to what I wanted for Ruja. Okay, so Gukesh played king h8, preparing queen g4, rook g8 with the little turtley box thing, which is what Kostya and Ilya were suggesting for him. But let's just verify some lines, shall we? Because it's a little worrisome or cumbersome. So let's have a look at queen g4, rook g8, and then just throw a piece, right? This is how I look at chess, is just kind of throwing a lot of moves on the board often. So boom, boom, boom. Attacking these things. King h7, queen f7. Bishop f8, queen f7. Maybe here. Chekaruski here. No more checks. Takes here. Knight e5. And white has basically nothing, right? So we can give up on that. Bishop takes h6 move. We can just put a question mark on it. It's not going to let me annotate it. Okay, so we'll just go back to here. What would be next here? I mean, knight f3, d4 makes sense as well in this position, but just want to look at the most aggressive moves. Chess in black and white. I think black had that square covered with the bishop. So what other move here would be aggressive? That's what white needs, is something like aggressive. Why can't I see a way to make a threat? Why can't I see a threat? We just need to think creatively for white now, right? Like, if we could do what we wanted to do, how would we make a threat? Alireza's played a move, though, completely on the other side of the board. A5, just securing the A pawn from black's queen, freeing up the mate threat without sacking the A pawn. Get F4. Exquisite says, yeah, maybe back up the bishop and move the F pawn forward. Queen E2 to E3 from JL. Yeah, that's an idea. We could try and go after this. So you could play Queen E2, Queen E3. Black's going to go Rook G8 and then maybe use Bishop F8 in that situation. But at least we'll have trapped the rook then. And that might allow us to play in other places as well. Hey, bestie! Look at you surfing the tubes. How's it going? And Murphy thinks that generally there's probably not going to be a real attack for white without a pawn break. Maybe not enough white pieces. Sometimes in like a King's Indian attack position, this knight would go to G4, queen would go to D2, and you would just power through a sack on H6. But this knight is a pretty long way from H6, right? So that would be a maneuver, would be knight F3, H2, knight G4, queen D2. Could be done, but it's pretty cumbersome. And if this knight wanders off, black always has knight C5, E4. I think initially Kostya and Ilya were looking at putting the knight on H7 just to have even more pieces packed around the black king. But Gukesh is trying to use, great efficiency. Trying to use some great efficiency, economy of means in the defense, such that this knight can get into things. And yeah, I think it seems pretty good of him. Queen E3. Right, first bring the queen to E3 and then start the knight maneuver. Yeah. I think the issue is black goes knight C5 to E4 and then it's too late. Like black just gets into the middle of the board faster than white can make those threats. So I'm not too convinced. G4, G5 would make a lot of sense if the rook weren't here. I agree. Neo says to check Fabi's game, so we will. Will white also play B4 to stop knight C5? That's an idea, dumb knight. Yeah. Yeah, the rook B1 was just to defend the B2 pawn in the opening when black played queen B6. So it can be repositioned at some point. A1 is a logical square just behind this pawn, and you've got all that scope and space. You can lift to A4 in some cases for the attack. So that's just the best square available to the rook right now. Makes sense to go there at some point, depending on other priorities here. Gukesh is going to want to think here about whether or not he wants to try and arrange a pawn trade to open up stuff on the queen side, or does he just want to put the knight on C5 so it's ready for hops, or does he actually want to play F6, which Ilya really wanted to do, I think. I'm not so clear on F6 being what black wants to do, though. I'm not sure. Generally speaking, what I want to do more than anything is improve my rooks as black. And F6 does play towards that. But maybe maybe something with b6 could be better. Yeah, it's not 100% clear, but it is the critical question. Exquisite Corpse is like, who's going to control e5 if black plays f6? That's kind of the critical question, right? So if white trades and goes knight f3, black would be able to do this. But if white goes knight f3 and black takes, then maybe white's on this square. Oh, wait, knight e5 hitting the queen. Yeah, so we can leave the bishop hanging. And then takes, and then white's got the square, right? And this looks super good for white, and that other one looks super good for black, right? Now, of course, they can each leave the tension. Like, white cannot take and black cannot take. And then we get this fight, and we don't really know for sure who's going to win control of this square. White does have, like, queen e2, rook e1, knight f3. So maybe white's decently likely to win that fight. Excuse me, but it's hard to be certain in advance. But I'm personally skeptical of f6 here. Verily, verily, Rolltux. It's most gratifying to hear your wise opinion. Yeah, it's nice to see Gukesh with more time here. To me, the main plan here is b6. Now, you have to ask. Once you've got an idea, then you have to get into the details, right? Like b6, you want to take with the a pawn, you want to take with a piece. Do you think white's going to take? Do you want to take on a5? Do you think white's going to push past you? Is that any kind of a problem if white does? Right. Can white somehow, hold that pawn and keep black out? That could be amazing for white, honestly, to cramp black over here with this pawn and hold it. So knight c5 does cover a6 in advance, so knight c5 could play towards b6 as well. Knight c5, if white fights for those squares and plays queen e2, then I think queen a6 would be perfectly good for black, right? So, howdy. Welcome, newbies. So here's the thought, like knight c5, queen e2, queen a6. From my perspective, a queen trade leaves Gukesh with the better endgame. Not to go all French on you folks twice in one day. It's kind of funny that Prague's got this structure and Gukesh has this structure, and I'm rooting for both of them and all that. But I think the endgame just favors black. White's pawns, they're weirdly advanced in multiple places. The bishop's not as good as black's. This structure e6, d5 is pretty good. You got the c file and ways to start working. I think the endgame has got to be somewhat good for black. Well, I tried that a moment ago, Abdul. I tried taking the coconut, and I didn't calculate a clear win of the coconut from black's perspective. Found queen f1 for white, and then rook a1 with the idea of b4. I have no idea, Happy King, because I don't watch any other streams. If I'm ever free of my kids, I'm streaming myself. Don't worry about keeping it pure Lofitus. That would be overly worried. Share your annotated rapid game, of course. Share your work. Show it. One of the first things you're going to want as somebody new to the dojo is you're going to want one or more study partners. Find some other people in your cohort who you like at a personal level, who you can chat with about your games. And then show them the work you've done, whatever it might be, you know. Maybe you did some deep analysis on the bond cloud, and you know that the dojo is not super into a bunch of opening analysis, and it's not super into like bond clouds. Doesn't matter. Show your training partners whatever you're working on, you know. Talking is good. All right, Detrin thinks that there's a queen win in this other game, so maybe we're going to go look over it too. Go look over there. Why isn't Jesse's picture a coconut? I don't know, boss. You tell me. Didn't you make it? Aren't you the one who set up my stream for me? All right. So here we are. Gukesh thinking. We're being told to move over to the other board. We go queen c7. Attacking 2 pawns at once. Knight f3. Is Gukesh doing what Abdul always prayed Gukesh would do? Super committal. Spending multiple moves with the queen. And, meanwhile, white's lining up queen d2, knight h2. Ay. Abdul chanting, take it. I mean, he simply attacked 2 coconuts at once. Ferrugia seemed to have made his peace with that. Like, he maybe saw it coming and he wants to rage. And honestly, if you go here, it's too late to play bishop f8. Too late for almost anything. No, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he shouldn't take the coconut, Abdul. I'm sorry to say it. I think that this move looks pretty decent. Or preemptive rook g8. Preemptive rook g8 looks pretty good too. Taking the pawn looks absolutely no. I'm sorry. Now that we're not just joking about pawns, coconuts, and Abdul, I gotta say you cannot take this pawn. Yeah, Adam. The issue is if we take it, white basically just goes straight at h6 like this. And the plan is bishop takes h6, pawn takes h6, queen h6, mate. Basically, black's just not poised to deal with this. So, yeah. Knight c5, bishop takes. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really concrete threat. Normally, Adam, what black wants to do is before white threatens bishop h6, play rook g8, and have this bishop f8 move ready. And this, like a coconut, is not a situation that's easy to crack. Right? We hadn't really seen how does white come up with new threats once black adopts this sort of position here. Okay? So knight f3, and it's on Gukesh to play, and I think rook g8 and knight c5 are the main candidates. As soon as this knight moves away from knight e4, that move's going to really heavily discoordinate white's forces in general. So that comes into consideration, and of course rook g8 preparing bishop f8, because this square is critical. That's the one that really needs to be reinforced. And as Koisin says, what white has ready in this case is the maneuver knight here to g4 to take. And this is where, knight c5 has to come in. f3, maybe. Knight here, and the queen can't stay on the diagonal. Andrew's got the checklist. Studying. Taking coconut? No. Becoming coconut? Yes. Do not take the coconut. Be the coconut. Actually, the best is if you can be the coconut and have taken some coconuts. Then it's just like, oof, your opponent is about to be making lemonade. Let's maybe move along since people claim that something dramatic happened over here. They were saying something about winning a queen. So check it out. We had this position here, and then the think of a lifetime for Naka, 40 minutes, A4. Beautiful. Beautiful. GM norm for Murfinski, automatically. High difficulty level. A4. Idea, rook here, covering some squares. Rook E3, possibly to fight for E4, defending G3, rook B3 to go to B7, and this piece runs out of squares very, very quickly. It's a winning idea. There's also an idea that if for some reason a lot of things traded, and suddenly you found yourself in an endgame, you could go B4, pawn takes B4, A5, and sometimes that'll just win an endgame. That's the only thing that I thought of for myself for this A4 move. So somebody claimed that Jan could win a queen now. Does anybody here want to tell us how? The interesting move is bishop takes G3. He just literally played that move out from under my mouse. So he played your interesting move. Whoa, does bishop G3 work? Jan spent 11 minutes on it. Okay, here's Detrin's variation. Bishop G3, Hg3. We're going to just start with the variation, okay? Knight F4. Well, that's a pretty forcing move. Takes F4. Queen G6. And now it says King F1 forced Knight G3 winning the queen. Is it forced? King here, there's also Knight G3. King here, there's Queen G3, Knight F2. King F3, there's Queen G3 mate. Oh la la. White doesn't have a lot of options here because black's threatening Knight F4. And apparently even putting a pawn on G3, black can play Knight F4. That's already two pieces. So yeah, we can potentially give the queen, right? And material is unclear. Smells of genius. Super unclear. Okay, so this idea here is definitely making a whole mess of the game. Now, is Knight F4 the only idea that Jan might have in mind? Is there nothing else here that we might be missing? It's so often I miss an idea on the first or second move because I go too deep. So I'm trying to slow down how soon I start looking really deep. Nepo is very slippery, for sure. Okay, so what else might he have in mind? I mean, Queen G6, Rook A3. Seems like you've wasted your chance to break through. No, then you've got Knight F4. Okay, so this is another candidate move we have to check on. Chat also suggesting Bishop G4 is another move. So we got to do something like Queen F3 or Knight takes E4, Knight check. White's got a full extra rook now. Nah. Naka shaking his head, they tell us. So Queen G6 doesn't look too good to me. The other suggestion was Bishop G4 here. Queen E3 as well. I don't see what black wants there. Knight f4 played immediately. Okay, we've got some moves played. hg3. Knight f4. Takes. Take. Check here. Okay, all this is happening. Sorry, guys, I was behind the ball on the update on the moves. My apologies, but Naka had been thinking for 40 minutes. Apparently, he looked at bishop takes g3 during those 40 minutes. We had to do a little catching up, and my personal weakness is going too deep on the main variation without noticing side options. So we considered this option immediately, but then I just wanted to sit and say, okay, what else? What are all the other little moves we might be overlooking? Because for me, that's always a mistake to just be zipping along too fast. King e1. Okay. Now somebody asked about what's black going to be doing in the resulting position. What's Jan going to be after? I think the first thing Jan's going to do is maybe attack the light squares looking for a mating attack. If the rook weren't stuck on a1, white would just be winning Skibix. Materially, white's winning. White has 2 knights and a rook against a queen. It's completely winning if those pieces were coordinated. And honestly, they don't even need to be perfectly coordinated. Like if this rook were on, if you just improve this rook to something like c3 or b3, maybe even a3 might be enough, white would be winning. So it's really, really close. All right, we got Cry coming in hot.
Hey, boss, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Well, it's another exciting round, dude.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Where's Naka's queen, bro?
It's just been captured as you were coming in.
Wow, that's an intense tactic. So Naka could take a draw on move 29 if he wants with King H1, right? Oh,
Hang
excuse me,
on, I'm
King
struggling to
H2.
find. I
Oh
can't
no,
answer
it's
you,
not
but you can
true.
explain
Not
it
true.
all.
Not true. Sorry. Wow, that was an intense tactic that just went down. Oh man. Holy crapolas.
Why can't I see Jesse anywhere in this thing?
Oh,
Oh,
let's
there we
see.
go.
Yeah. Wow, what a position. Super exciting. Okay.
All right, my apologies, everybody. That was some very, very slow, very slow OBS work there on my part.
Wow.
All right, I'll catch up on the moves now as well.
So
So
actually, while you're doing
takes
that, I'll
takes
just tell a
here.
little story. So last candidates, me and Eugene did the commentary for Rapport against Nepo. And we weren't using the engine and we had no idea. It was also a pretty sure it was also a Petrov.
It was, yeah.
And there, it was a queen versus a debilitated king. I think it was two rooks versus the queen. And for me and Eugene, it was not immediately obvious for us chump GMs what the hell is going on. For a lot of the other, like for Fabi, it was like a known variation that was just bad, It's just a known variation. And so one of the fascinating, I'm so happy I don't have the engine out in front of me. One of the things is like, do we believe that Black's queen can start some drama here or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't certain in the rapport game. I was kind of like, it's unclear, you know. And in fact, I was just wrong. In fact, it was just better for Black, um, especially from a practical point of view. This one, oh man, I kind of like to believe in White, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I'm certain like mistakes will now be made, right? Both sides will, like, if you looked at the engine later, it'll just tell you both sides are making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But the story of the position is very simple, right? If White consolidates, then Black is gone. But it's still kind of like the position's still pretty mangly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just in this very position,
Mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of interesting moves for Black that are getting suggested in chat
Mm-hmm.
that look reasonable, from Queen C2 to Queen H5 to Bishop E2, Queen G1. Black can pick off the A pawn, the D pawn, or just keep attacking. Um, so
Right. Personally, if I was Black, I would probably lean towards Bishop E2.
Bishop E2 immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd look at the other stuff,
All
but
right. You get into the underbelly here with Queen G1. And I guess the most critical move might be Knight B3, although probably your
oh,
king
Bishop
gets
E2 played. I'm a
perpetual.
GM today, my friends.
Oh
I'm a
my
GM
god.
today.
You just stepped in here, and within seconds you're
Well,
hitting them
okay,
out of
so
the
let me
park.
just tell you the intuition. I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea how to evaluate it, but I
Mm-hmm.
know from the White perspective that it's a major bummer to try to coordinate all my junk,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Now, Naka, like one of the actually things that I think is really interesting, David, about teaching chess is most players do not want to have the two rooks versus the queen. They want the
Mm-hmm.
queen.
Yeah.
And it's only like when you're really, really strong, like a super GM or a computer, that you can coordinate them. Sometimes it's not even clear whether they're going to be able to be coordinated here.
Yeah.
Like, for example, even if you untangle, how are your pieces supposed to even get at the Black King? Not so easy, right?
It's hard because the bishop you're left with here is almost permanently trash, right? So very hard to think how you're going to come up with a mating attack with your rook and one knight.
Well, one funny thing about that though is like Black kind of wants, I don't think Black's going to like win a piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's Queen G1. And now White needs to make a judgment call because Knight B3 holds your junk, but it is very ugly. And I'm going to guess there is a perpetual after Knight.
Immediate. Yeah.
So the other choice would be Rook C3. I think, right?
Yeah. And then on Queen D4, Knight F3, Queen A4, Bishop E3, you got all your junk out, but you shed two pawns. It's a price.
Naka is a gambler. He's a gambler, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think after Knight B3, it's actually a very fascinating moment in terms of the gamble because, well, on Knight B3, Black can't actually, as far as I can tell, can't do anything constructive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a fortress position, right? It's just a simple fortress. I think White's the one playing for a win, but still, after Knight B3, you're not touching any of my coconuts, dude.
Well, Black could make a pass G pawn if you're talking super forever. That it's a fortress.
Well, I'm gonna get my next move will be Bishop D2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he does play Knight B3. Okay, so that's a sad thing for the fans because I at least wanted Naka to go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right, Detrin. Rook C3 would not allow perpetual. I say it as if I have the confidence of an engine bar, but Jesse and I have the same instinct that if you leave the knight covering some light squares and you go Rook C3, your pieces are sufficiently coordinated and covering a sufficient variety of squares, and there's some spots you can hide the king. that probably what black does is they go here, attacking 2 pawns because they have no perpetual, and then take another pawn. Pretty decent as well. But if you don't want to give up any of your pawns, you go knight b3. But now, I mean, there's nobody covering these light squares, and the queen should be able to deliver perpetual. That's the instinct. Exquisite Corpse wants to bring the rook back to a1. But it's all sadness. Okay. It's clear he missed bishop takes g3. Really? He thought like 40 minutes on his previous move. And then he answered it pretty quickly, this bishop takes
I mean,
g3.
bishop g3 is a pretty intense move, boss.
Yeah, it is. I could definitely see somebody overlooking it. But Detrin, you were watching the video thing and he looked surprised. Proper. That's incredible, Jesse.
What's that?
I mean, let me just set the stage for you about this bishop takes g3. But in this position here, he thought for 40 minutes, played a4. His opponent played bishop takes g3 and he was surprised?
I mean, bishop g3 is that's a hardcore move, boss.
It is. It is. But I mean, if you think 40 minutes as a player rated 2790, ideally you're looking at least one move ahead, right?
Well, for the chess fans, I'm going to say it's a mild bummer because it looks like Nepo's just going to draw this, make a draw.
Yeah, I think so. It's a nice combination. And
I think I would make a draw.
Come in already.
It was what was fascinating too was like Naka went. It was very much like the rapport game, except those like Naka was more prepared than rapport was, because like Naka hadn't used any time way down into it.
Yeah. All right, queen e4, king c3. Here, presumably, queen f3 is fine. Look at that one bit of dark square control from Jan helping out here. Yeah, Exquisite Corpse is right that the player playing with the queen against the multiple pieces, like one of their options often is to give a perpetual. That's something a queen can do if things are going against you. All right, we got a crazy coconut grab, they're telling me. Fallujah, oh my goodness, took the coconut. Now, did Alireza take on h6 in response? No. He played an utterly shocking move. What the hell is that? Oh my God, we've got everybody coming in. All right. Excuse me for a moment, folks, while I work some more on OBS.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Kostya.
What's
let's
going
stay
on?
on this Fallujah game. Dude, Fallujah, man, you know, he might not be in good form, but he fights every game. That's for sure.
He is fighting. Oh, Nakanepo's done.
Nakanepo's done, bro.
Ah,
Fallujah wants to do a Hindu sack on h6, dude.
dang, what a shot this bishop g3 was.
Yeah. Bruce was saying, oh, he thought for 40 minutes. Of course he must have seen it. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's super easy to miss.
Yes, certainly.
Also, in that position, it's not clear you're better. So if some line leads to a draw, you're like, I guess, so complicated.
I mean, I even if I saw bishop takes g3, I don't know if I evaluate that queen versus pieces position as like fine for black. I mean, maybe black has nothing else, so you kind of have to go for it, but
Yeah.
I'd be terrified with the queen there at first glance. Man, Nepo is so lucky that he finds these good moves all the time. So lucky.
So one dumb thing that I'm seeing here is that if Alireza had wanted, he could have Hindu sacked right away, and then like bishop h6, gh, queen c1, king h7, queen c2, and then he could get a draw that way.
Sorry, bishop h6, gh. I'm back. Give me the line.
Right. So I'm just saying, and he could do this presumably next move too, but he can always play the Hindu sack and then queen c1, king h7, queen c2, and then we have our draw.
Uh-huh.
So he kind of has it in hand. And this whole thing where he's sacking the pawn on a5 and playing c4, it feels kind of loose, bro. It feels kind of loose. And the obvious question is, what's wrong with knight b6? Kind of doubt anything's wrong with knight b6.
Or what about rook g8 to avoid bishop takes h6?
On rook g8, you could. I think his intention is to play b4 and then cd.
Mm-hmm. So b4, queen a2, or b4 bishop takes b4,
and then cd.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go b4 queen a2, so I can put the queen on.
But I don't think rook g8 is going to happen, boss. You're just doing that because you're afraid. you're like I don't like draws, cry.
Yeah, I don't like draws. I want to win.
Also, Mr. Bruce, if I'm obsessed with the draw for white on rook g8, I could play queen c1, and then if you really want to continue, you got to play bishop f8, boss.
Yeah,
That's why I played rook g8, was to play bishop f8. You're saying it like I don't want to play bishop f8.
Yeah, you don't want because you'd entomb your rook, Mr. Bowes.
Okay.
I want to know if Naka and Nepo said something to each other after they agreed to a draw. I'm gonna check the replay.
The transfer.
Kostya's still in his suit, dude. I saw you and I was like, Kostya's in a suit? Never puts on a suit for me.
What do you mean? He knew he was going to see you later tonight.
Yeah, Jesse, you've got sleeves today. That's a lot for you. I was thinking about changing back into my normal streamer clothes, but I'm gonna have to do the recap in like an hour anyway, so figured
When you do the recap, is it a video recap or a text recap?
I've been doing video recaps now for the St. Louis YouTube channel.
Okay, cool.
And for whatever reason, I decided to suit up, and now it's the new uniform. So.
Okay, Mr. Bruce, I know you don't like the draw, but here's the thing that you could do from a gamesmanship perspective. You could tell yourself that even if you don't understand the c4 move, you could be like, look, I'm not afraid of bishop h6 because Firouzja is not going to ever play for a draw. It's just not what he's doing this tournament. He's either winning or he's going Harikiri, dude.
He's drawn 3 times.
Against his will.
Yeah. There are no efforts otherwise.
I don't know.
Okay, how about this though? Let's just try to answer this question.
Yeah.
What is the intention for white after knight b6?
Okay. And you're saying it's not bishop h6, queen c1.
Well, if he wanted that, he could have done that last move.
Yeah.
That's what he could have done last move if he wanted to. So I'm asking, like, what is the idea?
Maybe he's gonna go b3.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
It doesn't do much. I'm just trying to put myself in the Farouja's shoes. Just be like, how do I just keep the tension without losing the game?
Gukesh has burned up all his extra time on the last 2-3 moves. He was up 40 minutes. And now they're in a pretty similar shape here. Move
By the
20.
way, I watched a video from Sagar Shah from Chess Base India, and he did like a tour of Gukesh's little cave of improvement at his house.
Hmm.
And like it was like inspirational. You know, you're 17, all you got is this little area, you got a chessboard, you got some chess books, you got your computer. That's all you got, buddy. It's not fancy. It's not golden glasses with the fancy haircut and the shirts and all that stuff. No, we're just about the chess spouse.
It
And
wasn't filled with engines. It wasn't like a bunch of engines all over the place.
I didn't see a bunch of engines. He probably
Wow.
has cloud engines, I'm assuming how that works. But in any case, right? It was like, oh, that's who I want. That, you know, that's who I want, who I expect to win the world championship. Somebody like that. Somebody who's willing to just work all the time.
I have heard Gukesh very dedicated. Like, I think all these kids are, but I mean, that's prerequisite.
Another move, David, if you were obsessed with being afraid of Bishop H6 is I don't even know if it helps you honestly, but some kind of F6 or F5.
Ay, ay, ay. I don't really want to play those moves, boss. Can I go? Can I go Rook FD8 though?
You can go Rook
Clear
FD8.
Bishop F8. This is really minimalist as far as the king's protection. Really, really minimalist. But you got mad about the Rook on G8 when I was trying to defend.
Yeah, that's no good. Gukesh ain't playing Rook G8. Let's just put it that way.
Well, he didn't play it last move, and I thought he would. So yeah.
I mean, first of all, some kind of move like Rook D8, you have to calculate B4 and CD and that kind of stuff. But otherwise, yeah, that's what you'd like to do. Um, Rook FC8 is mildly similar, so you got Bishop F8 opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's just fool around with it. Which one do you like Rook FD8?
I like Rook G8, but
I mean, I can't sack when you play Rook FD8, David. So
I
that's
know,
the thing you're worried about. I can't sack.
but you were worried about trapping the Rook alone. When I play Bishop F8 now, I'm trapping my king alone.
Wait,
Mm.
wait. Rook FD8, guys. What if I sack on H6 and go Queen C1, Queen F4?
Mm-hmm.
F7's hanging.
Yeah. Jesse didn't want me to have a Rook on G8 in this position. He said the Rook would be trapped.
Sorry, bro. I'm sorry, man.
Now I have no pieces around my king.
What about Rook A C8? I feel like this F Rook is needed somewhere.
Man, we're basically spelling out the alphabet with our suggestions. We've like gone through everything here.
Okay,
And
so
then-
the
And then
reason
Kosi would be
that,
like, "We predicted the move."
that Proust didn't like it, any of those, is he was terrified of the draw with Bishop H6, GH, Queen C1. But like I said, you know, dude, Fallujah could have done that last move, right?
Yeah. Or look, we're outvoting David, all right? We're okay with the draw.
Okay, so let's try Rook AC8, and then
realize-
I'm just trying to figure out what the intention of C4 is. Okay, so let's imagine Rook AC8, and I'm going to play B4.
B4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right, so like Queen A2.
let's try Queen A2. And now I don't know if this works, but I want to try C5.
Mm-hmm.
That's annoying.
Maybe B6.
So B6, you have to worry about Rook A1, Rook A7.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, maybe start with Queen. Well, Queen C4 is a tempo. Maybe start with Queen C4.
This at least might be something what he's thinking of. And then here, well, no, I was going to play Knight D4.
Okay.
So on Knight D4, I prevent you from doing your B6 thing.
Right. A5. I got this break too.
A5, you got to watch for queen D2 and then rook C3. Like A5, queen D2, king H7, rook C3.
Why didn't we play
Rook
queen
G8
d2
play.
last move, boss?
Ah, he played rook G8, dude.
Yeah, of
Look at that.
course.
You're the GM today, buddy.
Yeah.
You're the GM today.
Yeah. I think Farouz just rolled his eyes like, bro, I wasn't gonna take on H6. You're fine. Don't worry about it, bro.
No way. No way.
Okay, but look, here's the interesting question. Is B4 the idea, this thing I've been doing? I'm not sure. I really am not.
Maybe.
I don't know what else to do.
Let me just put one thing forward, okay? Farouja's lost 2 games in a row, and Gukesh saw it and knows it, and it looked really bad yesterday. Really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Gukesh wants to win the tournament. I mean, why wouldn't he give himself options for winning this game, right? I mean, it doesn't
Oh, if I,
look like he's in much
Gukesh's
danger.
coach, yeah, I'm telling him to play for a win in this game, 100%.
Like, basically,
Yeah.
the only thing I can see Farouja doing is bishop h6, so I would defend against it.
Okay. By the way, Kosi, your rook AC8, I was realizing a simple way to deal with that would be rook A1.
Mm-hmm.
That way, so I'll be able to play CD and you can't play queen takes. You have to play ED, which to my head is kind of maybe advantageous because then we have knight D4, F5 ideas.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not really against rook G8. I think it's one of the most logical moves in the position. So, even if it's not with this, even if he's still fine with the draw, I think it's a perfectly normal move.
Okay, I want to just let's try queen C1, David.
Okay. He's trying. He told me not to worry about it. Now he's trying.
Well, I have a different idea, honestly. So bishop F8.
He wants to mate you.
Let me think.
BH6.
Let me think for a second. I got another candidate as well.
Okay.
Maybe.
You gonna rook C8 me? Maybe.
I'm considering rook ac8 as well. Yeah.
You might be able to
Idea
do it.
bishop h6, rook c4, queen e3, rook e4. I don't know.
Rook C4, bishop takes G7.
Rook g7.
Rook G7? That's nothing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Queen h6, rook h7 is where my line ended.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, folks. We stopped showing the moves. That's not. If that's not gatekeeping, then nobody knows what is, because nobody knows what the words coming out of their mouths are anymore.
It's line keeping.
Okay, so this was the bishop takes g7 variation. Sorry, I went too fast. So bishop takes h6. Normal would be... Oh, yeah. Well, so, okay, the point is rook c4 trying to kick the queen off of the bishop. Main line will be queen e3 in a moment. But we're just double checking this tactic. Bishop takes check, getting the queen to h6. Rook h7. And finito. So, queen e3.
So like queen E3, rook E4, queen C1, and it's again, I guess, a draw, dude.
Maybe.
Unless you want to gamble.
Unless I can find something. Maybe I could go queen c5 or something.
Maybe you can, but that endgame is starting to look pretty reasonable for me.
Hang on.
Anyways, let's try to make it more precise.
Yeah.
So C4, rook G8 was played. Let's go back to the start.
Okay. Because black's still up a pawn. Black's still up a pawn. I just try to tax the queen.
Okay, boss. Let's go back. I want to find out what the idea is with the C4. This is what I'm working with.
Yeah.
So, anyways, my intention with queen C1 was that if bishop F8, I was going to claim that maybe B4 was something. I wasn't even sure. You know, I wasn't even sure.
You were going to go for c5 again, right? Grab a bunch of space. Black's kind of locked
maybe
up.
if in
D4
that
for the
variation, I
knight.
might be able to play CD, ED, knight D4, F5.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the calculation of the bishop takes g3 variations when Nepo played it. We didn't mention that whole game, everybody thought that it was looking good for Naka, right? And then Nepo just smashed his way through the situation pretty quickly.
Mhm. Yeah,
It was a bit of a turn.
definitely. Hmm.
Okay, David.
Yeah.
B4 on the table. Is this what happened? No, that's just our board. That's
No,
okay.
that's just us.
Okay, let me try B4 right away, David, instead of Queen C1. No Queen
Okay.
C1. B4 right away.
No Puedo, Queen C1. All right, so if I play Bishop takes B4, you take on D5, right? One of my
That's
queen's
my
busy. That's part
thought.
of
That's my thought, right?
it's part of life now, basically. Never know when Jesse's gonna take on D5. All right, Queen A2, like Kostya, that was also my.
All right, I don't know. C5. Now maybe A5 hoses me. We gotta check, I guess.
Okay. What do I want to do? Basically, I want to play A5. I agree. Don't have too much else I want to do here. All right. We'll go for it. A5 is go.
Yeah, so I don't get it. So it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So we're struggling to guess what Firouzja's plan was at the same time as Alireza is struggling to figure out what Firouzja's plan was.
It looks pretty. If there's no idea, then C4 just looks like pure tilt, right? It's just like I didn't want to draw with Queen C1, and I'm gonna go loco here with C4.
I mean, there'd have to be an idea, but in general, when you're trying to attack on the king side with that e5 pawn, you want the center locked, right? C4 was off my radar, Jesse. I mean, it was. I could have stared at that position for an hour. I might never have considered the move. I probably would have never considered the move. It's really odd.
I feel like he wants to, as Cartier Tank says, just take on D5 somewhere and put the knight on D4 and say black's extra pawn is weak. Firouzja, so much potential.
Okay, one more idea, David. B4, Queen A2. And now knight D2.
Interesting.
I don't know if it works. I'm just trying to feel the magic here.
Yeah. But how the corn pops, right?
I don't know what that means, but I like it, dude. I like it how the core pops. I don't think I'm threatening to trap your queen. Maybe there's some variation where I could do it, but
Knight B6 for black.
knight B6 is a definite option. You do have to figure out C5. Okay, something happened. Rook A1 was played.
He's got 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Feels tilty, dude. So
He's
the
gonna
default
bloody.
move, right, would be Queen C5.
Gukesh leading incoming after this round. It's going to be the halfway point. Oh my God.
Please.
India's going to go crazy.
I'm going to go crazier than India goes.
But it's really looking like that. Firouzja's got 15 minutes.
Well, Gukesh doesn't have much more. I think it's sort of in anything could happen territory, except that, Gukesh on the last couple days played better than Firouzja on the last couple days.
Gukesh has an extra pawn, better bishop.
Fair.
He just needs to avoid White's one idea in the position.
Which is bishop takes h6?
Yes.
Okay, so Well, I
By
feel
the
like he's
way,
doing.
talking about India, like when I look at the Caruana's position against Prague, I'd rather be black. I don't know if
Hmm.
black's actually better, but I definitely would rather be black.
Yeah, we have
White's the
not
one
been
with
keeping up with that game, but that
White's the
was
one with the weaknesses and stuff. Our pawns are all in the right color. We got the nice bishop.
White
Yeah,
started
looks
to
great.
organize the rooks around the bishop h6, though. I think White's okay-ish now, Kostya.
I'm just
Um,
saying I'd rather be black. It's
Hmm.
easier to play.
Yeah. Yeah, because d4 is the weakest pawn on the board.
Black's life looks easier, but I think Fabi holds this most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a key move in this game that folks were curious about, which was the moment where Prague played a5. And I think some people were worried that he's encouraging b5 and then the knight is trapped.
Hmm.
I think that was kind of the concern there. If
Yeah,
not
but
for
in
b5, the idea of a5 is to, maybe open up some more space for a second target on the queen side, one of these two pawns. But b5, what was he planning to do?
well, I can tell you that in general, White doesn't want to play b5, just in general, because the whole idea is to grip the dark squares. So a5, if you can get it in, it's already a bad news for White. It means that the whole like grip on the spatial control has gone south.
Oh, yeah. Any pretense of a white advantage went south many moves before here.
Fine. Fine. Anyways, b5, eventually you'll probably have to play a4, and then you're gonna have a weak square on b4. So I think b5 may be more ambitious, but our knight eventually will find its way out.
Where's it going to
I
go?
didn't like a5 at all from Prague.
I, I don't see a square for the knight.
Oh, we're going to play rook fc8, knight d7, knight f8, and then either h7 f6 or h7 knight g5.
h7 f6. There's a pawn on e5.
Yeah, I know. But we got time. And with the way Fabi did it, ba queen e1, he's trying to make complications over there before black can organize. Like if you play a5 b5 rook fc8, what are you going to do as white? Oh, buddy, what are you ever going to do? We're going to plant that rook on c3, make you play a4, get that tender b4 square. I think BA is already like Fabi admitting that it's gone south, dude, and he just wants to try to make it enough of a mess not
Well,
to.
of course, this guy's already been south for several moves before that. I thought a5 was way too early. I didn't see why black didn't just double on the c file first. And
Yeah, build up the strength. There were pieces to improve, notably the rook on f8 and the knight on b8, right? I guess he's thinking.
also, if white moves the queen or bishop, black can go a6 b5 and get the knight to c4 again.
Yeah,
That's
this
all
would be a
fair.
real dream.
The white position is so sad.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so that a5 happened. I'll catch you guys back up to the live position where we can see some rook trades being offered by Fabi.
Yeah, Fabi holds this.
Yeah, it looks like it's not so bad.
No,
Oh,
love to
Hikaru commented on the eval bar war. Do tell. Do tell.
What did he say, boss?
I
Is
don't
this on
know.
Twitter?
It's from our
Oh, maybe
YouTube.
probably just on his recap business.
It's from the YouTube chat.
Also, FIDE, interesting position. 4 moves till time control with 10 minutes on his clock.
That its position looks beautiful.
The kings have advanced all their pawns, so there's fun to be had here. White's e-pawn looks more or less doomed, so I think we've just reached the critical moment, right? Where White's going to play something like knight takes g5 or whatever. I don't think there's going to be much more sitting around in this game. Knight e5 or knight g5.
Oh, dude, this is just misery. Am I looking at it wrong?
No, I think it's great for black.
For anybody, it looks terrible for white.
Yeah, knight g5, knight g4 check, hg, queen g5.
Can I try like queen c3?
In c3, there's knight e4.
Queen e5? Oh, I'm just losing my rook. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just losing my business. This is misery, man.
Yeah, well, there's knight d2.
How about queen b2? Let me just try to be active for half a second. So queen b2.
Queen b2, knight e4.
95.
Sorry, guys. I'll move the pieces for you now.
95, bishop a8.
I think also you might be able to take on f2, but your move is probably fine. But bishop a8 and I have rook f7, right? And what are you doing, Costa? You're hanging all your stuff. No, we have it. You got the position wrong, Mr. Bruce. You got the position wrong, buddy. So we'll go back to the beginning.
Yeah, knight f6.
And then we are trying to just make some survival mode for Bossov, bro.
Okay.
And so I was looking at queen b2.
Okay. Going for
I don't
e5.
think this works, by the way.
Yeah.
Queen b2, knight e4,
Knight
knight
e4,
e5.
knight e5.
Kosti played bishop a8, which might be raging me, but also I think knight f2 probably does work, but we'd have to check it.
Knight f2 allowing knight c6?
Well, then it's queen d7 and I'm hitting f2.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. No promises there.
Yeah, queen d7 looks strong.
Yeah, queen d7 looks like a hammer blow. So that didn't work. Knight d2 is just like the epitome of suffering right there, man.
Yeah.
Oh God. I guess that's what's gonna have to happen though, right? What are you gonna do?
Knight to d2?
There's nothing active. You're gonna have to, but there's so many tasty coconuts he can do here. The obvious tasty coconut is maybe a rook sack, a exchange sack on d2.
He's played knight d2. You got it right, and the move on my mind was rook takes d2 as well. Chat's telling me something happened here. So let me just have a quick look. I don't see it.
Rook d2 in a lot of ways is kind of necessary because white is threatening rook takes f6, and I'd rather not deal with any of those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, rook takes d2, man. Just lop it off, Vidit. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, that bishop's too strong. I agree. Just take on e4 and then play play the position from there. Because you got like h4, g4.
You got both h4, g4. That's right.
This is not the game, folks. Just a variation. That it has not gone for it yet. He's got 4 moves to make in these 9 minutes.
Me and Kosti feel pretty confident that that's exactly what's going to go down right there.
Okay.
Oh, rook d6. I'm a chump. Well, I still like our move, Kosti. I still like it.
Mm-hmm. This move is not bad either.
I feel like you have to calculate. Well, let's see here. Like maybe white can play knight d3 here. Probably not.
And then knight takes e4, right?
I was just like, maybe you could get away with knight e3, knight e4, and some kind of rook f8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but you do have to make sure because knight e3 would be like
So
an
there's
attempt to
this.
activate our stuff.
Some kind of knight c5.
We might play queen takes f8 too,
Rook
boss.
d2 dealing with the pin. We've got another move already, I think. Knight e2.
Knight e2. Oh, but doesn't rook d2 now might look just way simpler?
Well, there's rook f8 now.
There's rook f8. Okay.
So it's not done.
Okay, and actually, so white has a simple notion. If he gets another move, we're playing knight c3 and we're fine. I think rook d6 was forwarded. Unless we have something magical here, because knight c3 will solve muchos of white's problems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now Lay sacked something else? What? Oh, wow. Wow, that's nice. We've got an opposite colored attack brewing on this board between Lei, Tingjie, and Vaishali.
-6.
And
Nice move.
yeah, white's looking pretty angry on the dark squares here.
Like c6 now?
Yeah, there's also maybe bishop takes h6, right?
Ooh,
Kind of
Hindu sack.
just trying to pummel black
Oh,
on the
bid
key
it,
square.
boss. You're just supposed to take on d2. You're not supposed to be making it complicated with rook d6. Oh, because rook d2 was truly an intuitive sack, right? It was just like we just believe in the position. We don't even it doesn't have to be something concrete yet. You just play it.
Yeah. I like it because the knight and bishop together are taking basically all the squares from the rooks. I mean, it's hard to suggest what those rooks are supposed to do. But maybe white could immediately go rook d5, Jesse, and come out okay.
Well, can we go back to late real quick?
Okay,
She
after that.
sacked on h6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if rook, okay, black, wow, BC. I was thinking rook d3 for black, where as white thought bishop takes g7 was good. King g7, knight e8 check. And that looked like mating. And I would think about bishop g7 right now with the same exact idea.
Okay. So live position BC takes here, here. The live position, folks, is it's Lei's turn, and she's got a minute or so to think about it. Vaishali played her previous move with 3 seconds on the clock, and this one with 20 seconds. So, yeah. So it's possible that you have something like this. Knight e8, king's got to go this way
Yep.
to avoid the instantaneous mate. Queen check. If you go to g5, then queen f6 takes the rook. King here.
Yeah, minimum you have g4 then, so it's got to be
g4
over.
winning. So it's completely winning. Bishop takes g7. Woo! Yeah, surely bishop takes g7.
Oh, okay. She found another way. Knight
Oh, yeah?
h5.
Knight somewhere, right? Any knight
H5
move is
also
going to be
is
killer as
good.
well. It's like you attack this 3 times. Good luck. I was expecting, f6, bishop g7, king moves, white takes on f6 as well. Yeah. Vaishali had
Game
enough.
over. Dang. She could have done literally like even knight d7 was a move. Stopping f6.
D7.
But knight h5 is simple.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So that game lived up to my earlier prediction. There's too much going on, so we didn't get to keep an eye on it as I wanted to, but it lived up to my prediction that it had a high potential for bloodiness. See what happened here with Gukesh and Fruja real quick. Queen b4, b3, just defending whatever this thing is on the queen side. Knight heads to e4. Good luck with your coordination now, bro. Oh! The knight is in. And black's up a pawn for nothing now, right? I mean, yeah, right. Right.
Yeah. Gukesh about to lead.
Yeah.
The candidates.
Yeah. he's in great shape here. He may even have more than a pawn, right? I mean, if he goes bishop c5, he could claim that he has a pawn plus the compensation, plus the better pieces.
Sensation.
And yeah, I'm not
I
sure
think
what white
it's
does.
still not. Although bishop c5, maybe white lives with like rook a4, queen b6, cd. You know, it's not the happiest of moments. One thing is black's position's so good, I was thinking it had to be white's move. No, it's black's move.
Yeah.
And even if it was white's move, does he really have compensation? It doesn't look like it.
No.
This c4 move, dude, it was pure tilt. It's another game where he's just going down the tubes. This tournament is being decided by Firouzja losing every single game.
Jesse, want to see a little move?
You're going to show it to me anyway, so go ahead.
Rook a4 you suggested? Knight c3.
Oh, bishop c5. Okay,
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
I was so happy when Lennerman said yesterday that I was right on Firouzja.
Mm-hmm.
That was my favorite part.
If Gukesh beats Alireza, realistically, could Gukesh win the candidates now? Vince asks. I think that whoever's leading halfway through the tournament could potentially win the tournament. Yes. I always consider whoever's in the lead to have a chance of winning the tournament. Pretty much.
One weird thing on bishop c5. Okay, he played one thing on bishop c5, David, is maybe even the very strange rook e4, de4, bishop d2 in that momentito.
You're saying bishop c5, rook e4?
It was a thought, yeah.
D takes e4.
Bishop d2.
Bishop d2. Okay, queen b6, I suppose, right?
Bishop a5.
Did you trap me?
You might be able to sack the queen with bishop d4 or something.
Okay. But I don't really have that much in that case, do I? And if I go queen a6, you're repeating with bishop b4 or something?
I'm just trying to live, boss. I mean,
know.
Firouzja wouldn't do it because he's on tilt, but
Yeah.
but Gukesh would be looking at a variation like that in any case.
Yeah, he would be on. But I think queen a6 would still win for black here. By the way, somebody
bishop
named
c7, and then what do you want to do?
Liam
bishop
is saying
c7?
hi to you.
Oh, Liam's here, dude. Nice.
Yeah, Liam's saying the game is really intense, boss.
He's Fire Snap from Chess Dojo.
Oh, too good. Bishop c7
Just turned 10, dude. Just turned 10.
with the trap.
Nice.
He was upset too at my wife beat her yesterday. He was like, doesn't look right, buddy.
All right.
I definitely think Gukesh could win the tournament because he almost won Waikanze this year. He lost a tiebreak to Wei Yi, but he was very close to winning his first like super tournament. And I feel like when you're that close, then you kind of feel like you can do it next time.
Dude, Rook C1, I mean, he's just moving around, and like every game he's in dire time pressure. We got 15 moves to make, and he's got less than 5 minutes left.
So Gukesh is in time pressure because he's got 1 minute per move. But Firouzja's got like 20 seconds per move nonstop, and he's supposed to be keeping score at this point.
Oh, dude, and I found out he's playing 3-0 at night now.
He is?
So it's a repeat of the last one.
Yeah.
Repeat. Rook G D8. I was about to say Rook F D8. But Rook G D8 is a simple move, Baus, and that's like black is just better. The initiative against the king, zapped. It's gone.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He even playing on his official chess.com. Firouzja, at least have the decency to play on an alt account. Come on, man. What is this? He played like 11 games today. It says April 11th, 2020. That's today that he played.
Yeah, it was last night after midnight. Yep.
Ay. They all get a rest day tomorrow, but. Whew.
Oh, by the way, you guys, we're having the B4, another tilt move. We're having John Ludwig Hammer on tomorrow. We're going to talk about the eval bar controversy.
Yeah.
B4 is actually a pretty reasonable attempt. You might as well.
Yeah.
So queen, the intention, I guess, is queen b4, rook b3, and take a coconut on b7.
Mm-hmm.
Does that save you? Probably not.
Better not.
At least it's an idea.
B4. This game's intense.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm
It's
just
still
gonna say,
pretty
you guys,
intense here.
it's sorrowful to watch, dude. How he's just collapsing.
Every other game, yes, but not this one.
All right, let me make the argument that he can just play queen b4. I don't know if it's true, but let me just try queen b4, rook b3, and just queen c5 like a bows.
Okay. Sure. Queen c5 looks fine. Maybe
Do you want to
bishop.
go a4? I just want to control the e7 bishop and say that if you play cd, I'm playing queen d5, and I'm about to play dc.
Right. Either
looks
you
brutal,
take
right?
or I will take. One way or another, the rook on d8 is ready to talk.
Yeah, and that's just winning for black if you play cd. Rook b3, dc looks terrible. That looks horrendo. That looks like I'm talking.
Yeah. Ooh la la. I'm just going to peek away for a second, see if Vidit made time control. So rook d6. Yeah, I see the time on the clocks, but let's see what happened.
Yes, yeah, be careful there. So at the end of that line, rook takes b7, d takes c4, bishop e3.
Okay, but you're not threatening anything yet.
All right,
I want to
sorry.
go like queen
So,
g4.
Kostya, give us the goods. Rook b3
The
line.
rook b3 now. Yeah, queen c5, rook takes b7, d takes c4, bishop e3.
Right.
That's what I would be afraid of as black.
Yeah.
Not saying black is not probably winning here.
Yeah. But that
You can
would
do
be
all
the very
kinds of things though, like bishop g5. We got all kinds of moves. There's other moves though. I'm just saying we got a lot of moves because white's not threatening anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably play c3 myself.
You could play c3 too. Yeah. Fallujah's down to 3 minutes, my friends, and queen takes b4 was played. I don't see another idea besides rook b3.
Wait, he's got to make 14 moves, guys.
14 moves. But
okay, he played CD.
But
he played CD.
He spent the day preparing for this moment, folks. He spent
That's
the
true.
day preparing for just this
This is his element. He's got
I'm
three.
going to tell you guys
the
the opposite. After rook takes d5, it is crispy critters, bro. I mean, you don't need to calculate. Oh, excuse me. Jesse, hold it together, buddy. Hold it together.
Always must calculate.
Now, I was making big pronouncements and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I still believe in Fallujah's skills, you know? If Gukesh gives him a puzzle rush, he's going to snatch it.
CD's annoying. I'm not granted. Oh, baby, knight f2. Welcome to the dojo.
Knight f2.
What?
Knight f2.
What is happening?
He just went full prog on Fallujah's.
What is he doing? I didn't see it coming.
Yep, it's called the dark squares, baby. We're gonna line that king up. There's gonna be a pin and win.
How many sacks do they own now? Bishop h6, knight f7.
All right, rook e4, and he has to play immédiatement. Immédiatement.
Oh, but he cleared the way for bishop e3.
Yeah, does black have enough here? I mean, he must. I'm sure he knows what he's doing.
But I didn't see knight f2 coming, folks. What is the point?
The point is pin and win, boss. Pin and win.
E3,
That's what they told me in the books.
Defend and, defend and win. That's the word. Defend and win.
All right, let's say obvious things, dude. Rook a8, bishop e3, bishop c5. How does white untangle?
I think rook c5 is forced, right?
Right, and queen c5, and that's a winning position.
Yeah,
Okay.
black's got too many pawns.
That's good with
Don't worry,
me.
David. He's still getting you. He's still getting the point.
I'm here to provide objective analysis, Kostya.
Now, I'd be, since it's been a long time. I grew up having, these situations with 246. Though back in the day, it was like on an analog clock and you weren't exactly sure how much time was actually left.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would be encouraged to play some hectic knight f2 too, just to be like, hello, son, here we go. I kind of like it too with knight f2 because you know that rook ad8's gonna be good for you, but you don't know if he's going to defend with rook d3 or rook e4. So now you dial in your specs, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really say that, but I just said that.
Okay, let me just point out a big difference between Gukesh and myself and a lot of other people. A lot of people play very, very safe when they're ahead. They like try to avoid like the disaster, keep control of the position, keep a level head. And like Gukesh in this position where he was up like 1 to 2 pawns and Firouzja's pretty awkward, he goes for knight takes f2.
This
Well,
makes
if it's
sense
a
to me, though.
knockout, yeah, you can't really blame him. I
He
mean,
goes
Yeah, he
for
sees
the knockout.
he's going for the knockout.
You know, like we talked about Vidit hesitating on rook takes d2 and just keeping the game going, right? He's just going for it.
But on the other hand, Mr.
Gukesh, don't
Bruce,
hesitate.
if you play like CD and ED on move 27, well, white still plays on there too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rook ad8, very nice. We're anticipating bishop e3, bishop c5. You might be able to consider bishop e3, bishop g5, though that makes less sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Then after bishop g5, you'd be only sort of threatening bishop e3, king e3, keeping the knight defended, but maybe the king's bad. Oh no, you'd be threatening rook d4 maybe after bishop g5.
Okay, so let's say on bishop c5, the only thing I think we have to worry about is some kind of rook b1 tiki-taka against our queen, right?
Okay, by the way, there's 10 moves to go for those wondering. So you're saying bishop c5, rook b1, not rook
That would be
takes?
our concern, right? And if that doesn't work, then we'll consider bishop g5.
Okay, so let's say we take on d4.
Bishop g5 might be pretty good, dude. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they've
Right,
got 10
take on
10
d4.
moves to make, 9 minutes for Gook.
That's a good move, David. That's simple and strong. I like that. Bishop takes d4.
Is
Welcome
it?
to the dojo.
So however they take, we're going to then take with the rook again, right?
Yeah, that's simple.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even calculate the move. I just put it on the board. Okay. Well, I mean, there's nothing else to say about rook b1 then.
And that's the only move, right? I don't know what else the guy's supposed to do. Well, he could do that rook c5 thing, but that to me is an obviously lost position.
Okay.
He's reaching. Gukesh, don't miss. Bishop c5.
Bishop c5, there it is.
That looks good.
Knight f2, my friends. There it is, buddy. We already in this tournament, we have the Hindu sack. And we also have, remember, we have Prague playing knight takes f7.
Yeah.
And now we have this knight takes f2.
Yeah.
We need another name. I already came up with a Hindu
They're
sack.
getting all the
I
sacks.
don't know.
They're taking all the
What
squares.
next?
But Nepo played knight takes f2 today as well. So he's trying to say, you can't get a monopoly.
I think White's going to try rook c5. I don't know what else these guys supposed to do.
I don't see any other legal move.
And
Actually,
let
there's
me just
some
tell
kind
you,
of knight somewhere, maybe.
let me tell you something brutal about rook c5, queen c5.
Okay.
We're up. Oh, queen b3 is the move played.
Rook takes d4, queen b4.
Well, queen b3 maybe is mildly clever. Uh-oh.
Wait, rook d4, queen b4, rook b4, and the rook on e4 is hanging.
Yep.
Yeah, just rook d4.
Rook d4. Easy. Chess is an easy game, my friend.
Yeah.
What about rook d4? Rook d4.
Queen b3.
Queen takes b3. Welcome to
Rook
the
takes
dojo.
d8 check, and I take on c5.
And then I play
Everything.
queen b2, winning your rook.
Thank
Oh, I
goodness
see. You
we
want to take with a
the
rook.
Take the rook.
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
Uh-oh.
What if we have to take on
Uh-oh.
d4 again, but then queen b4? Shoot.
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh no, rook d4, rook d4.
Who sacked knight f2? Who did this? Who did this? Come on, Gukesh. I feel like even queen b3, bishop b3 is still like nice for black. I know it's not what we wanted.
Hmm.
No, it's no bueno of what we wanted.
Okay, but I want to just say at the end of that line where we have a queen against two rooks and a bishop, we still play queen b2, queen e5, and we have
The
so
rook's on
many pawns,
c5,
dude.
right? The rook's
Oh shoot!
defending the
You're right,
pawn. We
you're
can't
right.
even get a mass going. Ugh. Maybe we go b6 first and kick the rook off the pawn or something. Oh my god.
Hey. Nepo's so lucky.
Oh, this queen b3 move is really annoying. Oh no!
That move could
Oh no,
definitely
Mr. Bruce.
have been overlooked. Even by the calculating machine. Ay, 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 ay.
Oh no! And my Mexican friend told me the rooks in the center were shit, but then it's kind of like doing things over there.
The one on e4. It's a
Mm-hmm.
weird tangle of variations. Yeah, let's look at it, chess noob. So rook takes d4. Idea undefending white's queen, right? And if queen takes, rook takes, the undefended rook on e4, black gets out scot-free as far as we can tell, because if white takes on c5, black takes on e4. And otherwise, if white takes on b4, you escape and you're up all the pawns, right? But queen b3, rook d4, Kostya said we just leave the queen hanging. And because we sacked a knight and then an exchange, it turns out that if we take the queen, white's got so many pieces. Right?
Andy, there's even weird mate threats, dude. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And even this. Oh!
It's not good. And Gukesh hasn't played any 3-0 recently, so this is now Farouk's territory.
Oh no, Gukesh, buddy. Oh, this is heartbreaking. Okay, queen b3. Let's see what he comes up with here.
Yeah, Gukesh may or may not be ready for the time scramble that's coming, especially if he just has to trade on b3, which he does.
Oh crud. Oh crud. Now he's just. I think he's.
But this is still better for black, isn't it?
It's
Well,
playable.
I would say I would call this like just unclear.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe you
Oh.
could make an argument with a5 right
Mhm.
now that black
Yep.
is better.
Yeah, I mean, it depends whether that move's good. It is the move that everybody's looking at here. A5, looking to go A4, and sort of punt the knight, get the pawn started. From white's perspective, you're looking for an opportunity to go rook c7, maybe.
Exactly. A key variation might, in fact, be a5, rook c7, a4, and then some kind of rook takes b7.
Yeah,
But there, black is
for
definitely
black
much
still.
better.
Because every pawn is hanging on the 5th rank, so it's hard for. I think it's hard for white to play that. Oh man,
this,
but
this.
this is a bummer for Gukesh.
This
It's
would
not.
be
It's
like
not a bummer
move.
yet. A5 is. Let me just say. I mean, you're putting white under some good pressure after a5.
Jesse, we were like dancing. On this
I know.
position.
I know. You don't have to tell me,
And
son. You don't have to
that's
tell me.
Yeah. I mean, a5, rook a1, b6, and white's pieces are kind of passive. As black, I'm not terrified of that.
Right.
It's true there's not a lot of scenarios where this goes all the way to swing to a white win. Basically, it would be Gukesh flags somewhere in the next 6 or 7 moves. That would be a way to lose. But, you know, in classical, in like a situation where you're reflecting a
By
moment
the way,
and playing your moves,
I
white
think
doesn't
that
have a
it
lot of
is-
candidates to win the game here. Not a lot of pawns that could queen.
You're not completely winning.
I'm
But his
starting to come
position
around to
is
think black is significantly better. And on a5, rook a1, in addition to b6, I can consider the brutalistic rook a8, just intending to hurl my pawns at you, bro.
Just anyway. That's a cool idea.
A4 next, then B5. There he comes, A5. Here we come, buddy.
Okay.
I think this is a very spicy moment for White, dude.
He spent half his time
very
on that
spicy.
one move.
He's got some ideas. He wants to lay it on the line, buddy. Here it is, all the marbles. For all the marbles.
Oh, but Ferrugia had to see A5 coming like 2 minutes and 13 seconds ago.
The knight is really dominated. It has no great squares of where to go to.
Yeah, I mean, it could go to
Now-
C5 and then rook C8 maybe to trade some material.
Those connectors are running, man. We're coming.
Yeah.
Knight C5, a default move could just be, well, there's rook D2, but just B5.
Just
Okay,
ignoring
here comes
the
rook
situation.
D7. So here I think he's trying to go into the worst endgame now. So A4, rook D7, I think is his intention.
We can't go rook D7 because trades in knight A5. So
Right.
black's pretty obligated here as well to go for A4, right?
I think he
Exactly.
wants A4, rook F7, AB3, rook B7 there.
Ooh, knight C5.
Never mind.
Uh-oh.
Ferrugia wants it all.
Okay,
Where's
stopping
your
rook
answer?
D7. On B6, there's knight A4. So, but you can play B5 and against rook
Where's
F7
B5?
take the knight.
You can also play rook A8.
Okay, just put a motor and forget about the B pawn.
Put a motor.
What? That's a motor.
That's
Hard to believe. Rook A8, knight B7, and then white's rook comes back to C1, and the knight has D6. That's just one pawn on the queen's side. I think you got to go B5.
Okay, B5 definitely is the main contender, yeah.
1 minute each. Jeez. Where's the 30-second increment?
Okay, what is white going to do after B5?
Oh, he did
Rook
play
A8. He put a motor behind it.
Yeah. So he's
I
saying
got
the A
B5.
pawn is a Honda.
Oh, and Gukesh just looked behind him. He's checking the monitor for the move number.
Is that just posted on the wall?
Oh, right. They don't have to keep score when they're under 5 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are they
I
still
don't
going
don't
to
get
like
this.
deep thinks in bullet? Like they like sit there and think for a minute and a half. It's like watching me play. Oh my god.
Oh, knight D7. He's trying to prog him.
Prog him.
Yeah, remember prog knight D7 yesterday?
So he's going for knight B6, but A3,
But-
knight B6,
but-
A2.
Yeah, A3, A. Yeah, we put the motor behind it, buddy.
Oh, he's got A3, rook A3. No.
Oh! 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 No!
Oh, shoot, he is trying to prog him.
no! Oh no!
Rook
Buddy.
Rook B5 is like the only move I see here.
Oh no! Put it on the board, David. Show A3, rook A3, buddy. Show it.
But I
That's-
Oh, it's so
Nasty.
evil and dark.
but I can't.
You got to put it on the board to show him. It's so
Oh.
beautiful,
Dude,
dude.
he's gonna
Oh.
say Gukesh me outside. How about that?
Oh.
You catch me outside. Check to the miserable king.
30 seconds for 4 moves.
Oh, this one is turning around, my friends. This one is turning around. King
King
H7,
H7.
G8 with H7 was played.
Oh, and you look behind him again. Oh no, Gukesh is losing it. He's got 20 seconds. They both have under 30 seconds.
Did he not just
You guys
allow
gotta make
knight
moves.
B6?
Okay,
and then
but
he-
knight B6 is the end of the game, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna go rook D2, king E1, rook D8,
And then
other
rook
D8.
A8. Yeah, but knight
Oh,
A4.
good. Rook F3.
He's going for mate again.
Ferrugia
Yeah.
don't care, dude.
How are they thinking?
Oh.
You guys gotta make moves.
Okay,
Make
wait
a
a
move,
second. Oh my
please,
God, this
Gukesh.
is too intense. It's coming down to the wire, buddy. What's going on?
A3, rook F7.
Oh no, this is
Oh,
a puzzle
no.
rush. He's gonna mate him.
No, Gukesh.
King moves out of the way of knight F6.
Okay, but
It's
knight F6 anyway.
just so brutal. Knight F6 anyway,
Knight
right?
F8. Ooh, that's a nice one.
A2.
Oh, welcome to the dojo. He
No!
welcomed us to the dojo.
Oh,
Oh!
oh no.
Oh! Oh, that was so dark. Oh, that was so dark.
Oh, he's so good at bullet. Why did we play bullet against him?
That was so dark, dude. I'm just gonna say, dude. Oh, there was some deep pleasure in that one. It was so evil, man. Just, oh God, that was evil. Oh, that was so dark and evil, man. Now, let me just say, David, I know you're for this kid,
Yeah.
but there's something about getting the kid, getting, all those hopes and dreams, and just you come in like Darth Vader and you just boom, pull it out from under him, boss. Pull it out from under him, boss. Come on. Welcome
Oh,
to reality, son. Welcome to the big leagues. Oh, buddy. Oh, man.
Gukesh knows it too. Oh my God, this is
Oh,
heartbreaking.
that was so hardcore. Oh, it's such an evil night dance, dude. Oh man, that was dark. He progged him. That's the prog night, the night D7, man.
He totally
97.
progged him.
What a.
He progged him with
Oh,
his own prog.
damn, that upsets the tournament. Oh man. Oh man. Incredible. Whew. Well, in other news, it looks like Vidit's got a nice game against our boy here, Abbasov.
He's just gonna move on.
Did you say you have to move on?
No, I said. You're just gonna move on. Okay, next thing.
Oh, David, I'm sorry, bro. Man, that was amazing, dude. Now, Kosi, I'm just gonna say it. I know you don't like to hear it, but
Don't say it.
the non-increment stuff, dude, it was pretty spicy, man. I mean,
Oh.
it's just got to tell you, buddy, that was some spicy sauce. That was like back in the day, man. And we'd be like looking at the clock, wondering if it's gonna fall. People be smacking that thing, trying to make the flag fall, dude.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was good, dude. Oh,
Ugh.
oh man.
Oh,
Yes,
that
sir.
was
That was
hard.
a good one.
No, Gukesh is Alireza didn't even reset his own pieces. Gukesh is now setting up the whole board.
Oh, Ali
What a
Reza,
kid.
that guy's a punk, man.
He's a
He,
good
he
kid.
might be Darth Vader, but Jesus.
Ruja couldn't be bothered to reset the board. He's like,
Unreal. And somebody's
I don't even
asking
want it.
why I root for Gukesh. I mean, setting up the other guy's pieces after the most heartbreaking loss of your entire career.
All right, David. I know this hurts. Let's go through it, buddy. Let's
Yeah.
give the play-by-play on that game because that was amazing. That was amazing, boss. Come
Let me
on.
just say,
I
I
know
don't
it
even
hurts.
think
I
this
know. I
is.
understand.
I
Let's
don't think
start
it's the
from knight
most.
F2.
I don't think it's the most painful loss. You guys remember Gukesh lost that game to Notre Dame in the Olympiad when he was leading India on like board one. He's like 8 out of 8. He just beat Fabi,
Yeah.
and then he like loses a winning position to Notre Dame to like a simple fork.
That was pretty bad, but I
think that
this
was
is-
worse.
I think this is number one, and that's number two
Oh, this is
now.
definitely number one. Come on.
This is more recent, but I think that was worse.
What are you
Board
talking
one,
about? This is for the world championship contender, dude. He would if he had won this
Yeah.
game like he
leading
probably
by
should
half
have,
a
he'd be
point.
right there. What are we saying?
he had the gold medal in India's hands.
Kostya, he was
in his
about to be
hands.
the youngest world champion in history by 5 years. By 5
About to
years?
be. No, I think the Olympiad's worse. Dude, you can win for your entire country.
Me and
Oh,
David, no, me
whatever.
and David disagree. David,
There's the world
listen,
championship, and
buddy,
then there's like your
listen,
country, whatever.
put your hand on your mouse, go back to the game, and go to move 27 with knight F2, boss.
Yeah.
I know it hurts. Let's just go.
Yeah, we have to review our losses.
That's right, buddy. It's part of the dojo. Part of the dojo.
We're doing it.
Okay, so knight F2, we both, I mean, as a fan, when you see that move, you're like, okay, cool looking move, And then rook E4, rook AD8, bishop E3. Now, question, would bishop G5 have still been winning? Because here, queen B3 won't work because of rook D3. Wait, no, that's still not true, Cry. That's still not true, buddy.
Bishop check e3.
Actually, so queen b3 is still a problem after bishop g5.
Why? Bishop takes e3.
King takes.
Queen
Queen
e7.
b3.
Oh, queen b3. Nice.
Queen b3 even simpler. Okay, good. So bishop g5 maybe is working. That looks pretty good, dude, because rook b1, we still have bishop e3. So this just, this one's on the spot, dude. Right? Bishop g5. So what knight f2 wasn't the problem. It was bishop c5.
Yeah.
Dang. And queen b3, dude, that's an easy one to miss. And then also what was really hectic was we thought, and I still feel that position where we get bishop e3, rook e3, right? Was still good for black.
Yeah.
But then it got twisted around. I mean, you guys were saying stuff like, remember, you were like, it's hard to see how this could possibly ever go into white's favor. And then 7 moves later, it's mate, dude.
I said in classical. I said he could flag, could whatever. But I said if it were classical instead of bullet, right? White doesn't have, a candidate pass pawn anywhere on the board.
No, he panicked. I mean, he lost control of the game.
And I would have played b5, not rook a8.
By the way, I, instead of a5, wanted rook d7, which I think keeps control nicely.
Which rook to d7?
Also, Motto is asking just
eight.
bishop takes g5, but on bishop g5, I can just play hg, and if queen b3, then I have queen d2 check to the miserable king.
Bishop g5, hg.
Oh, wait a second. He might have knight e2. Motto might have a point, dude. So try queen b3 here.
Yeah. Queen b3 here?
Yeah, queen b3 right there.
Okay.
It's the same dirty trick. And here the point
Queen
is if
queen to d2?
Knight e2. What's
Knight
that?
to e2?
Knight e2.
Wow.
That's some magic right there.
Does Gukesh hold this with 30-second increment? Yeah, I think it's hard to lose this with the 30-second increment, yes. I think you might win it. Okay, that knight e2 move looks like it holds here.
And then the other brutalo thing here is if bishop g5, rook d4, he's got bishop d8, I think.
Bishop g5, hg, queen b3. We need another move for black, right?
Also, we can try bishop g5, rook d4.
Rook d4. Bishop takes d8.
And then rook e4. And the question is, are we winning that? That's hard to evaluate just looking at it, but our queen and rook are, and the bishop on d8 is pretty misplaced. It's actually kind of cool. The rook can't go back anywhere.
Rook
Or the
c8.
bishop can't go back. Yeah. Now, let me just say, if you saw, you probably, first of all, wouldn't see this. And then the next thing is evaluating this bad boy, God only knows. But that's a challenging move, rook c8, yeah.
Being Guki, at least make the draw. Oh man, so upsetting. I mean, kid deserved it,
So let's just say something. This weird c4 thing, where I came into this whole stream, a move 20.
Yeah.
It looked to us like it's like a guy who desperately wants to win. Could have made a draw on that move. It seems to all of us like he's then worse. He's gambling. It feels like the same tilt he's been on every single game.
To me, it didn't even look like someone who wanted to win. It looked like someone who wanted to lose. Like I was like,
Exactly.
you're opening the center, when you're down a pawn and need to win with the kingside attack.
Suicide by Gukesh.
Yeah.
But was it really suicide? I mean, you're in time pressure. Knight F2, it looked it's like all of these variations we're finding are miraculous, dude. They are miraculous. It was like we found like, I don't know, at least 5 really studied like solutions here.
Yeah.
For white, dude. Queen B3 is like really stunning. And that bishop G5 is also like, took me a second to see that somebody in Mato was saying that in chat.
Ay.
Okay, next question though. So after rook takes E3, I move 33. I guess what we're saying is, first of all, A5 seems like it's hard to, but then it's all kind of, once knight C5 hits, then it's kind of like, oh, we've done ourselves a disservice, I guess, right?
I think this is going great for black if he plays B5, Jesse, instead of rook A8.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel like the knight is still contained because the rooks are covering D7 and D3. And the knight's attacked, so the rook on C7 can't do its dirty business on F7. Or
what about rook F3 though?
Okay, rook F3. Fair question. Okay, rook takes E5.
Good. And then you're gonna rook F5 me if I play rook F7.
I don't feel like I have any choice anymore.
All right, so rook F7.
Okay, rook F5.
Rook F5. I'm gonna assume I gotta take that bad boy.
Yeah.
And now I can think about rook B7 or other things. But I thought rook B7 was a
rook B7 seems right.
No, white's the one with the chances, dude.
Yeah. I have to admit it.
Woo! Man.
Wait. Is it really so simple? After rook B7, rook D5?
Rook D5, you have to wonder about rook B8, king H7, knight E6, or the direct knight E6. And it's like, oh no. The whole thing with the knight G8 is back on the table.
Yeah. No, the H pawn is very strong for white.
Yeah. But you can also grab the B pawn and then do the same thing to untangle next move, right? Exactly. Like A3, now you go check here. And now the A pawn, it's not a tower of power, it's
you might, I mean, you could try to hold it with like rook D5 and then some kind of F4 and hope to grab the H pawn before you get mated, and maybe you survive, but it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Wow, dude, that was intense. What a turnaround, man.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Gonna have to analyze this endgame.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
Poor Guki.
So you were watching the cam, dude? You were watching the cam of Gukesh?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? That was all I was watching. They had 20 seconds each. Because it was crazy. I mean, when Firouzja played knight f8, Gukesh like bangs out a2. Firouzja goes knight g6 check, and then I saw it on Gukesh's face before I saw it on the board that he's losing. Basically.
Yeah.
Gukesh, he just freaked out. I mean, it was wild.
The knight hops in Bullet, they're so jarring and shocking.
Yeah. Knights are...
Okay, we got a question that's totally legitimate. After rook e3, we don't have to play a5. It's a little bit unclear what we'd be doing, though, if we didn't play a5. We could play a weenie move like b6, I guess, right? That would be the weenie move.
Well, Kostya suggested rook 8 to d7, I think.
Rook d7.
Yeah, you could do... It's a similar thing, right? On b6, we're just saying... Yeah, but that's probably safer, too. Rook 8, d7, sure.
Yeah, they have a similar flavor. Both look decent.
No, I still feel like I would take black in this endgame. Like you go king h7 and g6, so you don't get mated.
Yeah, I mean, if you play well in an endgame, 3 pawns are better than a knight slightly. If they're good pawns, and they're fine pawns, right?
I feel like they're
Oh,
good
man.
pawns.
I'll just tell you guys though, if I had little time, I would play a5. Of course. We even said it. We were like, yeah, a5's the move. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's move those doggy
I did
dogs.
not like a5. I was rook d7
You
all.
are making that up, dude. Hey,
What? What do you mean?
I liked a5. I said a5. I don't know what Kostya thought. I'm not gonna say.
run,
because
Forrest, run,
E5
dude. Yeah, you're supposed
e5,
to
I
push him.
thought
Push
white
him,
can make a
baby.
draw with rook c7, a4, and rook takes f7.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like a5 because I thought black should be playing for more.
Yeah. So in this position, Kostya's saying take the f pawn first, and then you got the b pawn in your sights. Whew. That's a good defense too, Kostya.
And then he played knight c5, and I'm like, oh, I guess he's playing for the win.
Right.
Okay, I don't know if it's over looking at it now, but
Oh
poor Guki.
my goodness. That was too much. Oh my goodness. How are the other games going? There was a draw between Fabi and Prague.
Yep.
Yeah, Vidit's he's pressing here, but I don't see a way for him to break through.
And Vidit can't break through. Bishop c8.
To me, it's just a real simple question. Can we take the pawn on a4 or not, dude? But also, like, actually, let me reframe it. Like, no, I want to ask about the knight taking on a4 because honestly, there might be.
Oh yeah, black's bishop hasn't always been on g4, so it was on c8 earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So the e pawn was hanging, but the last moves were bishop g4, queen d2. So now he's thinking about how to.
Got it. Okay.
Uh,
You'd have to put him in Zugzwang, right?
Mhm.
And we have to make sure that knight a4 doesn't take our coconut.
So you want your bishop on e6 at some point, right? And white's queen is on e2, and then you want white to move. That's why he hasn't put his bishop on e6 yet.
Guys, I gotta run. I should get ready for this recap.
Okay, I got to go deal with
All
my
right.
life too, man. But
Kostya,
this-
don't mention what happened to Gukesh. All right.
Yeah, I'll just feel like
Just
I'll just cover the 3 games.
yeah. Those who know, and they don't want to hear about it. And for those who don't, there's no need to advertise it. You know?
Here's your recap. No, Gukesh, no.
Yeah, you guys,
I
we're gonna
know.
do the we're gonna talk the eval bar controversy tomorrow at 2:30.
Yes,
30
see you
Eastern
folks
time.
tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Great
All right.
eval
Nice.
bar
Kostya.
debate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, I'm gonna leave too, David.
Okay.
Bye, my man.
Bye. And then there was just David and the ghost of Gukesh. So I guess like here black needs a waiting move with the king, right? Or does white have knight a4 in such a position? Bishop c8 was played again here, and queen e2. They've repeated once while we were talking. Yeah, that was brutal. So brutal. So I'm thinking that even if black plays a waiting move, let's say in theory this is a waiting move, white could perhaps take, give you e4, and then take on c5. And, oh, maybe queen c4, bishop c4, king h3. Something like that looks very safe. Or since your king's already embracing that pawn, maybe you go knight d7 and take one of these pawns. Okay, so it doesn't look like Vidit. It doesn't really look like he has anything here anymore. Good question, Mohammed. Let's check on some of the games from before. We had Tan and Goryachkina. They ended in a draw. Let's just see how the last part of it went with A4, because this is such a critical game. She comes in knight e4 first, defending the c pawn, but that knight needs to be supported, so that's her plan. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's right. I probably did miss that variation. Knows. Going after f2. Going after a2. Nice. Nice work. Ooh, fancy footwork. That was really nice. Clean play by both ladies. So Tan maintains a half-point lead over Goryachkina. And Lei, I think, is finally in the black. She's won 2 in a row. So she's coming into things. Half a point behind Goryachkina, I guess. And let's just check out a few of these moves that led up to the final blows. Or should I see what other games are still going live, maybe? Let me just check if there are other live games here. No, all the games are done for the round. And there was only the one win, so we're going to look at that one win for a second. And we'll bounce back to Vidit. I don't think Vidit's winning, Julian. We'll check back in on it at some point, but that's the last game that's still going here. They've repeated the position twice. Not 3 times, but twice. That it doesn't have much time left. It does seem like he spoiled his advantage, yeah. Now, let's see this game here. How did it get set on fire? So, we had the nice 4 knights position. Surprisingly goes to b4 instead of f4. Looks like a good square as well. Big commitment from white against the c5, against the a7 bishop. And this is Lei undertaking this. She gives up the bishop pair. And if the rook had taken, then what was happening? Oh, knight f6, of course, right? And the rook takes here. So pawn had to take. Knight here, going to opposite colored bishops. Grabbing an extra pawn temporarily. Rook takes. If bishop takes queen, rook takes here with 2 rooks against the queen. And a pawn. And it's good for her. Also, that queen is pretty bad on a7, right? Once white has a c5 pawn and a rook on the 8th. So black recaptures correctly. She puts the queen on the dark squares. Now white's up a pawn, plus getting ready for devastation. And this was the key move of the game. We actually got to see this. The key move of the game really is this idea that, oh, I missed it by 1 move. b3 first. This one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that you can just go straight into f6 and then your opponent can't defend against bishop b2 or h6, plus there's pieces hanging. Even if black's pieces weren't hanging, this would just be crushing. That's really cool. Really cool. One second. Okay, everything's all right. Sorry about that. That's just sick how you can set off this attack, right? The bishop's not even in place. It's just is just ready and unopposed. And that's the violence of opposite colored bishops in middle games, you know? Took very, very little. And then, you know, boom, tactical genius thing coming in. Boom. Yeah, you take either piece, it's just checkmate on g7. Actually, black doesn't get checkmated if they take the bishop, do they? It's more like they have to go here, here. Now the queen's covering mate, and then here, and white can take, you know, the rook or the bishop and win one or two moves later. It's not instantly checkmate, actually, but the two hanging pieces help white to finish this. Black took the pawn. White played knight h5, and black resigned there. Bishop g7 was winning here, and probably knight e8 and almost any knight move probably was winning here according to Kostya, which makes sense. So yeah, she went knight h5, but knight e8 would do it as well. That was sick. And that leaves us with this game here. Bishop g4 has been played by Vidit. Queen d2. We had this position. Thanks, Ubik. You betcha. It was thrilling, but brutal and upsetting, I think. And you can see, yeah, you can see how tough it is to stay balanced throughout 14 rounds of this if you go all out every game like Gukesh and Prague and other younger players tend to do, right? Because no matter how good a mindset you have and how hard you work and how much you understand that losses are part of the process, you know, there's still ups and downs and, you know, kind of nothing more down than playing a great game and blundering at the end. So, okay, the game was agreed drawn here, so that's the last of it. Yeah. So Koisin saying Gook's playing great. I mean, Gukesh is playing some really great stuff, but there's also some unevenness. You know, yesterday I mentioned that time pressure was a problem for him and Vidit, that you can't get away with it forever. And that one game this tournament, each of them would have a time pressure blunder. So I think we saw that today. Koisin thinks there was a clear win for Gukesh, for Vidit somewhere in this game here. So let's go to the time scramble here, where it looks like Vidit's on top. This move here was so that against knight c3 he could play c6 and keep the knight out. But he's totally committed to attacking on the king side because he's giving up, you know, his a pawn after c6, you know, knight a4, knight c5. So he's pretty committed to attacking. This move was pretty odd, but it happened. Stop that knight. Does he need to stop that knight, or can he just explode everything with g4 here? I know that's not what you said the win would be, but it seems logical to just ask yourself, what if we just do this, right? I mean, it looks like white's dead. Yeah, you have a nice day too. Good riddance. Normally you would take CD, but I'm just going to cover a few squares with my queen in case I need her. Oh, that gives me rook f8 as well. Yeah, okay, black can't necessarily win here. All right, so let's see it. Here, here, here. Makes sense. Takes. G4. And Koisen says logical to go here so that you can try to win the weak h3 pawn instead of trading it. Vidit actually did win it because white can't play hg. Oh, but this combination with knight h5, this drawing combination, simplifying combination, that was pretty sweet from Nijat. And it suggests that g4 was wrong. So he does win the pawn on h3, but with his own pawn on h3, it sort of defends the white king kind of, right? So the idea is to go rook here and then take with the rook. That is true, Eli. That is definitely true. It could shake out that way. I could see that. I see the potential there. All right, so idea rook takes h4, rook takes h3. Can white defend those squares? Not so much. What about queen e6 instead? Possible. You would definitely need to back up this. Oh yeah, we've got the rook on g7. You say knight g1. I think then the rook still, right? Oh no, now there's rook takes f6 to think about. Knight g1 doesn't look that awful, Patrick. Actually, it's a pretty good move you're suggesting to us. Rook f5 being suggested by Koisen as well. Okay, so let's go to Koisen's move. Rook h7. Queen e6 there gets in the way of the rook and the bishop. It's got some real downsides, yeah. Yeah, Ishan, I think you might be right. Koisen just suggested that, and it just feels like the queen's actually in the way on e6. So let's go rook h7 like Koisen first suggested. Takes. There's knight g4, knight takes, queen g5, etc. So maybe knight g3, takes, knight f5. Knight e3. Looks pretty decent. Although there might be a bailout with rook f8 still. It's tricky. Takes, queen f2. It's not actually that tricky. White wins. White wins. King comes up, rook here. This is winning. It's winning for white. That's insane. Knight g4, big mistake. Huh. It's weird. I don't see a proper move for black here. Maybe queen h7, but then we still can't move the knight because rook f8 is still really good. I don't see it. I don't see it, Koisen. The easy win you're saying? g4 instead of knight g4. g4. Well, it could be anything. I mean, this knight is kind of stuck over here. There's reason to expect black could win, but it's hard to see it. The white rooks are really nice. They're better stacked up and coordinated together than black's rooks. So I'm not sure rook h7 is a clear win, Koisen, or certainly an easy win like you first said. I mean, I've been looking at it for 5 minutes and can't figure it out very clearly. Yeah. So Vidit and Gukesh both miss. Vidit by not being willing to pull the trigger and trying to keep everything under control and win it inexorably. Gukesh by pulling the trigger and just not having enough time to figure it out, missing one move and then another, and it got crazy. Probably wins, but no way you lose. Well, I mean, Vidit also didn't lose. I don't know. I mean, I agree that you shouldn't lose, but almost any approach by black you shouldn't lose. What Vidit did, he shouldn't lose. The question is really, does it win? And I couldn't convincingly see a win there. All right, everybody. That was that. Heartbreaking day for chess. The whole chess world heaves a heavy sigh. Tomorrow we're going to do dojo talks at the time of the normal round. It's a rest day, but we'll do dojo talks at that time. We'll have Grandmaster Jan Ludwig Hammer on as a guest, and we'll discuss whether or not broadcasts should or shouldn't have eval bars and sort of details related to that. So that'll be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. And it'll be here on Twitch and YouTube on Chess Dojo. Predictions for the rest of the tournament. Well, I mean, we could quickly go to the standings. Let's go to the results. Standings. So Tan, I think Tan is the favorite now in the women's candidates. And I think Goryachkina, Lano, and Lei all have chances as well for now. And the other players, not so much. So that's for that one. Pretty simple. Top half of the standings. I'm going to say the same thing for the top half of the standings in this one here, more or less. Okay, so Jan and Fabi are probably equally favored in my mind at this point, with Gukesh and Prague both being outside shots. Hikaru and Vidit also outside shots, but fairly outside. So, yeah, I think you could split it into tiers. Fabi's general class and experience makes up for the half-point deficit. I think he's still got a fair shot. He's got his white game against Jan in the second half as well. And Prague and Gukesh, I mean, they impress and they've got a lot of talent, but I don't think they're as good as Fabi, Hikaru, or Jan right now. I guess, yeah. In this event, it's intense. It was close. And I'll say one other thing about Gukesh. Like somebody said, he's playing great. Actually, I think Gukesh is playing somewhat unevenly at this tournament. And Prague also. And that's normally what you expect from juniors. It's not always what you get from these juniors. Prague especially is a very, very stable player normally. But I think we're seeing a mix of like brilliancy and like rough spots from both of them at this tournament. And there's, they're used to playing every event, I would say, like as part of this long-term improvement thing. They're not used to playing like, how do I maximize just trying to win this tournament? You know what I mean? Like they're not used to saying like, okay, there's 2 rounds left and I'm half a point ahead, blah, blah, blah. Or this is a game I should try to draw because I want to win, 1,000 euros in this tournament. I think they really just sort of like play every game to get better and to learn. And it's all this like maximizing your long-term growth. And because that's kind of like the only mode they play in, they don't have a like, let me just try to win this tournament mode yet right now. So if that makes sense to you, you can see how it's hard for them to adjust to this tournament. Like if their goal were suddenly just to win this tournament and not to just play as they normally do, they don't have practice much doing that, right? So for example, today when Gukesh played knight f2, maybe there's a higher percentage way to play that position instead of knight f2, maybe with the time management as well. Take into account Alireza's form and what he's good and bad at, But Gukesh played it like Gukesh, where he's going to go for what he thinks he sees. He's going to use the time the way he thinks that he wants to. And then if it doesn't pan out, he'll just go home and analyze it and reflect and like come back stronger. But, stronger might mean you don't win the Candidates tournament this year, right? I think that if it came down to it, Koisin, in theory, they'd be willing to agree a short draw or play an opening that's boring or whatever, do something different in order to win the Candidates. I do. What I'm saying is they don't have any practice doing that. Does that make sense? I think at other tournaments, they don't necessarily try that hard to win the tournament compared to just getting the most out of every game. So I did not try to say they wouldn't prioritize winning the Candidates. I'm just saying I don't think they have another mode other than what is a really good mode for long-term growth. But Jan has like an adapted mode, right, for maximizing winning the Candidates tournament, and Fabi and others have fine-tuned that somewhat as well. And then they're young and they just don't have that kind of tournament experience as much, which can play into decisions of what opening to play and which opponent to try to beat and which game to, lay back and when to try and conserve some energy or any of those kind of things. They don't have the same amount of experience with any of that, period, much less because of their approach to chess, right? Now, doing no risk-taking and no growth can be like a problem for some other players. There are players on the other end of the spectrum. I don't think they're particularly in this tournament, but there are some players who aren't ambitious enough and don't push themselves, and they've stopped long-term growing, and they're always just maximizing their earnings in each individual tournament. And that's not better necessarily than what Prague and Gukesh are doing, right? It's just different. Does trying to win the candidate strategy differ from other tournaments? I think so, Kyle, because there's probably some differences. Most tournaments people play are single round robins, so a double round robin is already going to be a difference. Then a lot of tournaments have different mixes of players. So this has a specific mix of players. And then finally, it has some different like emotions and intensity. So understanding the psychology, your opponents are going to be having somewhat different psychology because they're trying to win the world championship. And understanding how each of your different opponents' psychology is different, and how you might want to adapt how you play against them based on that is going to be sort of specific to the candidates, right? Like I would say with Firouzja on tilt and in sort of a bad position, it would really make sense for Gukesh to actually play super safe against Gukesh. The longer you draw out the game, the more unhappy Firouzja is about the fact that he's not landing any tactics and he's down a pawn and he's like depressed, and it gives him more time to sit at the board thinking negative thoughts, right? So to me, for Gukesh, he didn't need to maximize and find like a knockout blow like knight f2. If he keeps the game going comfortably up a pawn, Firouzja will continue to collapse. And that would be sort of an example of, thinking about what situation is your opponent in this tournament and then adapting, right? At a lot of tournaments, when you're not in the running for first place, you still have other tournament goals. But a lot of these players probably came to the candidates with the goal of winning the candidates. And then once they can't win the candidates, what's their motivation? What's keeping them going? How are they still playing the second half of the tournament against you if you are in the running for first? So I think those are just some examples of little variations between this and other tournaments. And the players at this level being so good, every little bit can matter, right? Like Naka's insight that he was going to win that endgame, or that he could take the risk in that endgame against Firouzja, that he doesn't have to go trade off the A pawn to secure a draw, but he can play knight f4. So yeah. Do I think Naka has a chance? Yeah. I think Naka has a chance, but not better than Prague. Prague's got half a point more than him, and frankly, Prague is showing more brilliance. Also, some more unevenness. So he could fall behind Naka, but with where they are and how hard it is to beat Nepo and Caruana in this tournament, I think Prague has shown more power through the first half of like he's somebody who could win enough games to get up to first place. Naka's at 3.5. He would have to minimum score +3 in the next 7 games, and I have an easier time seeing Prague produce, another 2 or even 3 wins than seeing Naka produce 3 wins. It's not that the chance is like super high for any one person to suddenly win 3 games, but to me, Prague's shown actually a very, very high top end at this tournament right now. And Naka hasn't shown his absolute best yet, or so far. So, I mean, they're pretty much all showing up pretty well, but yeah, that's my take so far. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace, love, and chess to all of you. And let's go raid somewhere. We've got the Spring Classic. That sounds pretty good. All right. Take care, everybody.